Welcome to the Decoding HVAC podcast, powered by Fujitsu AirStage, bringing you smart solutions, industry trends, and pro tips to keep you in the know. All right, Matt. So I thought what we'd do with this episode is just kind of go over some myths versus reality when it comes to ductless systems. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Here's myth number one. You still need a furnace as your primary heat source. You and I both know not always, but let's kind of walk through that. Why do you not?
In some markets where utility on natural gas or propane is cheap, hey, that makes sense to have a furnace. But most people think, well, man, if I put in a heat pump ductless technology system, it's not going to produce enough heat for me. I gotta have this type of heat source for centralized heating. Not the case. Heat pumps have come a long way over the years. So now with the systems that we've added to our lineup, a heat pump can be the primary source of heat for a residence.
Right. And you would just really kind of need a backup in only extreme conditions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what we see is hydronic systems being installed as a primary, and then heat pump being secondary. There's a lot of different things that we can do. Issue with a furnace, it's super hot, it dries out, you have humidity that you have to add to a system over a period of time. Heat pumps are a quote unquote cooler heat. They don't dry out as much, the air. So it seems to be a little bit more comfortable for the humidity level during the wintertime.
So it's not really a blanket rule. It really depends on climate, efficiency, and system design.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on. Myth number two, they are only good for mild climates. Now, I'll kind of kick this one off. We know that they're used successfully in Canada, the Northeast, the Midwest, the mountain regions. Man, I think this is kind of a myth that the technology is really outpaced, but that myth stuck around. What do you think?
We may have mentioned this before. Back in the day when ductless technology was gaining traction, it was just spot cooling or spot heating. And that was typically just a sunroom or somewhere where I just need to add a little bit. These things have come a long way. So now instead of being a quote unquote southern unit where you're just adding air conditioning, now we're actually high performing on the heating side. So these aren't for mild climates. We talk about the Canadian market. We talk about our northern US market, tons of snow, tons of applications where the performance and the heating capacity at super low ambient temperature, these things pump out a lot of heat. Another thing too, the way our outdoor units are designed, for those homeowners that may have not seen the outdoor unit, it's a horizontal discharge. So why does that make sense? Well, if I'm in a heavy snowfall area or I've got wind shear that the snow will pile up, I don't want a whole bunch of snow falling off my roof, keep smacking into the top of my residential unit. Being a side discharge, we're blowing that condenser air out to the side of the unit. So now we can get a little bit of snow built up. You keep the snow away from the unit just as you would any of them. But that helps with, those markets where a lot of snow builds up.
And that also saves on your footprint by doing the side discharge.
Absolutely. Definitely, it's quieter as well. So if we're looking at some markets where tighter row homes or what have you, we can tuck these things away. And because of the clearances are much tighter than a regular residential style system, we see these things tucked up underneath decks. You can actually quote unquote hide these things where you don't even know you have a condenser unit, and you certainly can barely hear it. So we've seen tons of applications like that.
Right. And I think for us, we've been very successful in Hawaii with these, down in Florida with these, up in Maine with these. So we've been, Canada, we've been very successful in selling this in every climate that we've faced.
The heating side we've got some accolades for the heat that we're producing at super low temperatures.
All right, well, let's go on to myth number three. Heat pumps cannot handle the southern heat, which just always cracks me up. I mean, the South is where I'm at. It's what I'm responsible for. But, these things are built to run for long periods at lower speeds. And, you get into a traditional system, they blast on, blast off. But this is steady temperature all day long. It's more consistent. What's your take on this?
For those who have ever been to the Caribbean, the South American market, take a look around at your little bodega or any kind of shops or whatever offices. Guess what kind of technology they have. So any of this myth of, oh my gosh, these things can't withstand the super hot heat, they kind of almost thrive in them, right? Kind of the polar side, right? We do very, very well in the cold temperatures, and we do very, very well in very hot, humid conditions, very well. And that's the thing too, Darin, as you know, the further south we go, we start talking about all the humidity, and that kind of leads into myth number four. So I'll let you talk about myth number four.
Yeah, myth number four, they don't control humidity well.
That's right. So that gets to, the myth number three says, hey, why do they perform in hot, humid areas? The answer is yes, because of the technology, because it slowly turns the fan. It's using inverter compressor technology. It's slowing down and it's pulling the humidity out of the air. We've talked about that ad nauseum on our other episodes. So yes, a ductless is perfect.
These units will run longer at lower speeds, allowing them to pull more moisture out of the air. And so there you got your humidity control.
That's exactly right.
Let's go on to myth number 5. Ductless systems are only good for additions or garages. Yeah, we do see a lot of that, but now we're seeing these ductless systems utilized in entire homes. In the South, we got a lot of those going on in Texas. And I get that in older homes with leaky ductwork, or slab foundations, we do that, but we're seeing designs for ductless for an entire home, regardless of size, right?
Absolutely. Where efficiency, aesthetics, performance, heat, practicality, that's where ductless really fits that mold. And you just look at our product line in and of itself. We just talked about multiple segments of the country and countries that we participate in. And now we're actually, expanding our horizons and getting units that are attractive. Our Orion XLTH Plus product, now we've launched a black indoor wall mount unit for the trendy architectural designs that are coming out, that they want a darker accent wall. So putting a white indoor unit on that wall may stand out, but putting a black indoor on that wall, it's much more appealing. So just the old adage of, oh, I'm just going to dump some air into a garage and hope it does the best. Now we're doing whole home solutions, dialing in load calculations to a precise heating requirement and or cooling requirement. These things have definitely taken the HVAC industry by storm. Hence why everybody is really chasing that technology. No one would chase or follow us if it wasn't a practical solution.
And we still do tons of additions in garages, but we're seeing that just kind of morph into can I do this for the whole structure, right? And we're being very successful with it.
And you look how the construction side is today. Houses are being built very, very tight. The need for fresh air coming in and zoning, just a lot of focus on maximizing square footage on a floor in a room. So if you think about a conventional where I've got a whole bunch of duct or supply openings cut into a floor, well, I can't put a piece of furniture over it. Where's my return in that room? I can't block it by the TV stand or TV. So by using ductless technology and putting it on the wall, I am maximizing that floor space. So when someone says, hey, what's your price per square foot? They're either renting an apartment or they were doing a design on a nice home. Price per square foot, hey, you got to be very careful, because actually, can you use every square foot that's in that room, or do you have to deduct what you can't use? And that's where that ductless technology really goes from that junk to a garage only spot cooling to whole home solution.
Well, Matt, thanks for doing this myth busting, if you will, with me today. Guys, if you have any questions and want us to cover something in a topic, please reach out to us at decodinghvacpodcast@gmail.com.